9th, 1975. We left Boston at 3:30 p.m. and it was pouring. We all looked like drowned rats by the time we got to the car. The cars kept stalling in the middle of the streets of Boston. Thought I would die. It was because the car was so wet from all that rain. Finally, we got moving. The windows in the car were fairly steamed up, so I couldn't see too well. We were merging onto the highway, and since I couldn't see, I asked Sue, who was seated behind me, to roll down her window and tell me if anything was coming. By that time, I had stopped, not realizing that a truck was behind me. All of a sudden, I heard this loud beep, and I turned around just in time to see this truck coming at us. He sort of rolled up along the side of us, so close I thought we'd been hit. It was like slow motion watching it. The truck comes to a stop, and out of the cab jumps this guy. As he walks toward my car, I rolled down the window, and he screamed at me, "What are you, crazy, lady?" I just looked at him with this dumb expression on my face, and he hollered, "You don't stop here. I have 9,000 gallons of gas in this truck." I looked at him and replied, "And I have 4 lives in this car." He walked away swearing, and I answered with a weak, "Go to hell," and we drove off.
Go to hell.
Oh, wow. I can picture that whole encounter. Who were the 4 lives in your car?
Well, I know who 3 of them were because I had two of them were college friends.
Did you think you were pregnant?
No.
This is the 4th lives?
I didn't understand that reference. No. I don't know who the 4th person was. Isn't that funny?
How old were you? And why did he have 9,000 gallons of...
It was an oil truck.
Oh, all right.
Context.
I don't really listen to you.
Yeah, apparently. I was 21.
Ooh, drinking age. Except your drinking age was like 18, right?
Yeah, drinking age was 18. Yeah. But drinking doesn't have anything to do with this story.
Well,
we had just been on a day-long shopping trip to Boston.
Why were you stopped? Did you go over that and I didn't listen?
Because I couldn't see, and we were merging into traffic. Of course I shouldn't have stopped. We were merging into traffic, and I asked the girl behind me to look out her window, but I hadn't heard from her yet that it was clear. So I came to
please leave a message after the beep.
Yeah. And the poor truck driver was absolutely right.
Yeah.
And this is before road rage was really a thing. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about swearing back at him in this day and age. But,
yeah.
You know, I don't blame him for being upset. And he did. They came really close to our car, but all was well.
Oh, I have to bite my tongue. I have road rage. And I get that from my dad.
Yeah, you don't get it from me.
Well, I might. The way you whispered is very scary. A terrifying go to hell. I wonder if that's why I drew you as the devil once.
It might have been. It might have been.
A tale for another time.
Yes.
Okay, so this episode, welcome back. Wait, we forgot to do an intro. Do we do the intro after?
We can do the intro.
We don't know. We still don't know what we're doing.
Don't tell them that.
Okay, episode 7, right?
Right.
We decided to make this all car themed or vehicle themed, right? Like,
yeah, because we're really into vehicles.
We know so much about cars and vehicles.
The only thing I ever cared about, like even when I got my first car, only thing I ever cared about was the radio, or also like my first car, 71 Volkswagen, had Super 8. Not Super 8.
Super 8? My God, that is advanced.
8-track cartridge.
Oh.
You ever seen those?
Yeah.
And I would listen to the Rolling Stones, Some Girls record on there.
That's
album,
awesome.
Whatever. At high, I was going to say high speed. High volume.
Yeah,
anyway.
Probably high speed too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're cruising with your windows down and...
Yeah, you know.
And
it was the 70s.
Your foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I was generally cautious.
I don't know. You are a little speed demon.
No.
And also just a plain old little demon.
No. Although.
We mean no. Yes. She just told me she was going 80 the whole way here to come
no,
visit me.
No. But there was this time. So a year before that, I was driving from Orono. Back to Portland, and I had my father's station wagon. And it was a rainy day.
Much like today.
And I'm cruising down the highway. Really, I don't think I knew how fast I was going. Maybe I did, but I don't think I did. And I passed an unmarked state trooper.
Been there.
So he pulled me over and asked me why I was doing 90 miles an hour in a 70 mile per hour zone. And I'm not sure what my answer was, but it was probably like, I didn't know I was going that fast.
It's 1970 something and my car can't actually go that fast?
Listen, it better not be, because I've told this story with these details many times, and you know how accurate I try to be.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So he takes my license, and I'm sitting there, and I'm knowing my father is going to be so disappointed in me. So disappointed. Because he'd loaned me his car, and obviously nobody wants their child passing an unmarked car at 90 miles an hour. Or nobody wants their child going 90 miles an hour. So all these thoughts are going through my head. And he comes back, and he hands me my license, and he said, "Since you're a fellow Leo, I'm going to let you off this time, but slow down." And I was just like so relieved.
He's really into astrology. or white privilege.
Yeah.
Or a little mix of both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you got off scot-free that time.
Well, yes. And I was relieved. So fast forward 4 years later, 4 or 5 years later, and I'm at a banquet.
A what?
A banquet. A banquet.
Like, the band quit?
The band didn't quit. A banquet or a meeting, a dinner meeting.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And so I was sitting with a lot of different people from the government. And
why?
You didn't know that I was an undercover agent?
Yeah. No way in hell would you be able to do that. No offense.
No, there's no way I couldn't keep a straight face for a minute. No, I worked in the legislature in that time.
Okay,
and so
yeah.
It was some event, maybe a fundraising event. It was something. And I was sitting at dinner, and there was a guy there who was a state trooper. And he was sitting next to me or very close to me. And I kept looking at him, and I'm like, to myself, I think that's the guy that let me go because I was a Leo 5 years ago. And so I leaned over and said, "I got to ask you a stupid sounding question." And he's probably heard a lot of them. And I said, "When's your birthday?" And he looked, he kind of looked at me and smiled, and he said, "August, whatever." And I'm like, "I knew it." And he's like, "What?" I said, "You stopped me about 5 years ago for doing 90 and a 70, and you didn't give me a ticket because I was a fellow Leo." And all he said was, "Sounds like something I'd do."
Oh, that is good.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is so crazy. Funny. We had a funny cop situation together in a car.
We did?
Yeah, you don't remember? So
refresh my memory.
We were probably going thrifting, probably going to Goodwill or the Chicken Barn, or going wherever we go.
Any place clothes were used and cheap.
Yeah, we like to be where the clothes have already been worn. And so that's usually what we do together. We read your diaries and go to the thrift store.
Yep.
So we decided to do that, and then you randomly were like, "Let's get a car wash. There's this new car wash." And so we go in. How old am I? Am I in high school?
Yeah.
I think I'm like 17, maybe
Yeah.
16 or 17. And we go in the car wash, and it's one of those, like, automatic ones. Like, there's no attendant. So you, like, pay with your credit card, and then the doors open, and then you go in, and it shuts, and you don't move your car at all. It just kind of, like, goes around you. And the whole building is just clear, like, all glass. So, like, whoever is waiting in line to get a car wash... Mind you, this car wash is in the most random spot. Like, it's just in small town Bucksport, Maine,
Right.
just, like, placed somewhere so random. So that always makes me laugh. But we pull in, we pay, we pull in. My mom's driving, and she's like...
And the back door goes down.
The back door goes down, we're in there.
We're in
We're
there.
locked
The front
in.
door is down.
We're locked in. We're ready to get our car washed. Nothing happens. Nothing happens, and we sit there and we're like, what the hell? Then we start arguing because we're like, what is that? And I'm like, Mom, what is it? Why are we stuck in here? And I start getting like claustrophobic and scared. And then meanwhile, there's a truck parked outside of the car wash waiting to come in. And then I think, if I'm remembering correctly, does he get out?
Yeah, but not before I called the police.
Yeah, so so my mom's like, I have to call 911. I have to call 911.
And you kind of stopped me. You didn't want me to call 911, did
Yeah,
you?
because it's embarrassing. Like, call 911 and be like, we're stuck in a car wash. I was like, there has to be a way out. There has to be a way where we don't have to call 911. I think you called the non-emergency line, probably.
Well, I don't know. Let's
Well,
hope
maybe
so.
not.
Let's hope so.
So my mom calls 911 and goes, hey, this is weird. We're stuck in a car wash.
And I said my name.
This is Lynn Bonzi, Claudia Bonzi, whatever. And on the other line, the cop goes, Mrs. Bonzi? And it was one of her former students who had answered the phone. And so he had to come. Did he come?
No, but he dispatched
Yeah, he dispatched someone
a police
to come.
officer.
And
Then,
she's like, wait, what if I drive forward a little bit?
no, that's not quite how the story goes.
Oh, okay.
Then I looked out. There was a little window to the right in the car wash, right on your side.
Yeah.
And there was a man standing there going,
Oh, yeah. He's
and I'm like,
"Go
what?
forward."
Then finally I realized he meant I had to go forward maybe 6 inches to activate the car wash.
It was censored. Like, there was a sensor that you had to go through to activate it.
And so when we came out, there was a police officer there, and we're like, we're all set.
And our car's clean. We just sit through the entire car wash just, like, with our thoughts. As to what just happened. So,
Go ahead.
wait, what were you going to say?
It's just such a metaphor for how I handle emergencies. Like, I immediately go into panic mode
Yeah.
and, like, kind of get frozen
Yeah.
and figure out I got to do the next step.
I gotta call I gotta call 911 because I will die here in this.
It's like the day I did the Heimlich on somebody who wasn't choking. Episode,
The
whatever that was.
The shortest story that ever lived. But wait, so hold on. The best part of this story is that about a week later, did you read this in the paper?
Yeah.
There was an article in the paper that car wash caught on fire.
That's right. I forgot
So
that
now
part.
I'm convinced that it wasn't us at all. But
Yeah,
something
it's never
was
us when it goes
funky going on in there. Yeah, that was not good. That was crazy. Oh my god.
Oh, well, you've
Anyways.
certainly had your share of driving stories, like the one about the turnpike. I still can't get over that one.
So I think I've said this before, but I often call my mom immediately if something weird happens because I'm like, oh my god.
Which means every day.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta tell her. I gotta call her and tell her what happened. So it was late at night. I'm pretty sure I called you at like 11 p.m.
Probably.
This is like, I was like, somebody has to realize. So I was driving at 11 and in Maine on the highway. I think it was like off season. Like people weren't here visiting. So there was no other cars around. But I had to go through a toll booth. And I was probably in my mid-20s. I think this happened like a few years ago. Oh god, a few years ago. It was like 10 years ago.
I know, it's crazy.
I'm old. Okay, so I pull up to the window to pay the toll. Oh, just an aside that I only just this year got an easy pass because I like to talk to the toll booth people.
I never heard that one.
So I like to have that, like,
Never
little,
miss a chance to talk to somebody.
I really like the little interaction because you just never know what's going to happen. Back to the story. And I roll up to the window, and the toll booth person is snoring asleep. Just like, just leaned back, had a movie going.
He had a movie going?
Yeah. Just like snoring. And what do you do? What do you do in that case? Because do I leave $1? And then I drive. So I sat there and I was like, should I, and then I was like, I sat there for probably a minute. I was like, do I yell? No, that was scary. Do I, like, and then I was like, maybe he has a weapon behind there and get scared, and then he hurts me. And then I'm like, do I just, like, reach in and tap him, like, and then I'm like, no, don't touch him. And then I'm like, okay, but if I leave $1 and then I just go through, the light still won't change, and then I'll get fined. But then maybe they have it on video that I'm handing $1. So this is my whole thought process for a minute, just sitting there like, what the fuck did I? And then I'm like, in the middle of all of it, I'm like, hello, excuse me, hello, I need to pay my $1. And then finally I was like, what am I doing? I need to just go. And so I drove off, and I was like, that man just never knew. Or he was faking it. Which I think is a funnier theory, that he just fakes sleep, and then he's like, my God, this woman will not leave. But I was so stressed that I was going to get fined, like $50 or however much you get fined for going through a toll booth. And I was like, this, and then I'm like, I'm going to have to contest this in court. And be like, he was sleeping. He was sleeping. And then Ed didn't take a picture of it, which was my bad. I should have just taken shot a little video.
You probably saved that guy his job.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, I never got fined. So everything was fine. I made the right decision. I did not leave the $1. I just went. I just said, I gave it my all. I gave it all my heart. And it just is not working. And this guy looks very peaceful. He was having a really nice nap. So, anyways, I cruised on through.
Crazy. I think these car stories, everybody has them if they think about them. They've got, we spend so much time in our vehicles. There's crazy things that happen. But I think it runs in the family. So Ozzy, my father, back in the 70s, and this would have been like about the same time that my diary entry that I was talking about earlier happened, in the early 70s. He was a creature of habit in the morning, and we had our cottage in Raymond, and he would drive down Route 302 in Wyndham, and he stopped at this place called the Red Something. It was a breakfast place. It's not there anymore, but he stopped there every morning, and they sold the Portland Press Herald, and he'd have his paper, and he'd have his egg and toast, and then go and get in his Volkswagen, his little, probably it was the Volkswagen they later sold me, so his little 1971 Volkswagen, and head to work. And so that's what he did this one morning. He came out, got in the car, pulled out of the driveway, took a left onto Route 302, starts driving and gets down a couple of blocks, not too far, gets to the light, and he's looking over, and he sees all these textbooks in the passenger side. And he's like, how it is when you see something unexpected and you just have to process it, You're
like,
he's like, what is this?
Like, am I in school?
Right. And of course, when you're driving a Standard, I'm just imagining, you can't, he couldn't be, perusing them because he's going to, so it dawns on him, he's in somebody else's vehicle.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard, that you could just put your own key into the same make car.
No, that's not how it happened.
Oh, what? But that is a thing. You could put your same key into the same. Yeah. Anyways,
but that's not what happened. It's this. Ozzy would often leave his key in his car. It's just the way I did it all the time in the 70s.
Yeah.
And And this person had left their key in the car. You know, he'd just gone out. He's in his, and so what he did is he turned around, drove back, pulled in, parked, got out, and got in his own car and drove away.
What happened to your voice? And drove away.
I wanted a dramatic ending.
Oh, okay. I love that person had no idea that
ever happened.
That car just went for a little jaunt and then came back and nothing ever happened. That is. Sometimes I wonder about are there things like that have happened to me that I have no idea
I'm
about?
sure.
And people are like, "Whoops, I'm just not gonna say anything." That is so funny. I love that. Oh, Ozzy.
He was pretty funny. And then you had an event that happened just recently, within the last year or so.
Yeah. Okay.
I love this story.
So, about, I don't know, it was sometime in the last fall, I think.
Yeah.
Winter. Maybe last winter. I was driving from southern Maine to down east where my mom lives. I'm just trying to see if you're going to do that thing you do with your lips after you sip a Diet Coke. You're like... You didn't do it, though. Anywho... So, I'm driving the back way, which I like to do because the highway way is so boring, and I would rather add 15 minutes to my drive to, see some shit. You know? See,
some stuff?
Yeah, see... I just want to, see stuff. And also, there's a Goodwill on that way.
Oh, yeah.
So I usually stop there. Anyways, I drove... And, okay, so for most of the drive from Augusta to Bucksport is a straight shot. But, you're on kind of a back road, so you're, there are, stoplights and stuff, you're going through, some neighborhoods and stuff. But for the most part...
You're going Route 1, basically. Route 3 and then Route 1.
Route 3 and Route 1. Yeah. So, this same car was behind me the entire drive from Augusta to Belfast.
Route 3.
Route 3. Route 3, everyone. Route 3. And I had noticed that the same car was behind me, but that's not unusual because that's just people are doing that drive so often. And so once you hit Belfast, there is a Dunkin' Donuts to the right, right when you get to kind of the downtown area. And I desperately needed a coffee, as I usually do. Weird. So I pull in to that Dunkin', and that car pulls in behind me. For a moment, I had I was like, are they following me? And then I was like, no, Hillary, get over yourself. They're not following you. You're just going to get a coffee. So what happens is I'm in line. I order my coffee at the speaker, and I see that same car go park down, to the right. And I was like, And then the person's getting out. And I was like, oh, they're probably just going into Dunkin' or going into the gas station that's also right there. And then I see them coming right for my car. And I was like...
They're walking.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm so panicked. And I'm so stressed. I'm like, why are they walking? And then it was a woman about your age. And... She doesn't look angry, but I still have this, moment of, oh my god, what did I do on that drive? Is there something hanging out of my trunk? What's happening? Why is she coming at me? And then I'm almost at the window to get my coffee. So there's someone who's watching this all go down from the window, but they're helping the car in front of me. This woman goes, knock, 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 knock on my window, and I was like, and I roll the window down, and she just goes, I have got to tell you, you are a wonderful driver. It was a pleasure driving behind you from Augusta to Belfast. No, also, she had a little Irish accent, so it made it even better. I didn't even attempt to do it because I can't, but I made it, and I was like, my face got so red, and I was like, Thank you. Oh my God. And then the car in front of me moved. There's cars behind me. I was like, hold on. I'm like, she walks with my car as I drive up to the window, and the person at the window is so confused. And I was like, do you want a coffee? Do you want me to buy you a coffee? Like, what can I do something for you? Like, what is happening? And she's like, no. I just needed to pull over and tell you that. I just felt compelled to follow you in here and tell you that. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, that is the craziest thing anyone has ever done to me. But, like, it was like an aggressive act of kindness. I was like, this seems like a lot. But but anyways, it was, I mean, she's like, no, I don't drink coffee. I don't need it. I just needed to tell you. And the woman at the window, she's like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know what just happened, but thank you. And I'm like, okay. And then she pulls out, the woman who followed me in there pulls out right in front of me. And then I had to follow her towards downtown Belfast. She got off. She told me she lived there. Oh, I forgot to mention that she goes, people around here drive like assholes. And it was a pleasure driving behind you. And the whole time I'm just like, thanks, cruise control. You're making me look good. I'm just cruising with my foot off the gas. I was like a solid 5 miles over the speed limit where I feel safe. 5 to 7 miles per hour over the speed limit, it feels safe.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was the craziest thing and then I think I called you and I said, I have the craziest thing that just happened to me and I cannot.
And I had to wait 45 minutes for her to get there. I was dying to hear the story.
I also was just like,
it was the craziest thing that happened to her.
It was
I know it was big.
It was so crazy that would happen on my way to you. And I'm pretty sure we were starting to like talk about doing this stuff.
Right.
Something's happening to my throat.
It's because you made fun of my deep voice a while ago.
I did. I made fun of it. But anyways, I'm still shook by that. I need a full year to recover. I got a couple more months to really let that sink in. Because that was so crazy. And if you're out there, I wish I could remember her name. A little Irish woman in Belfast, I love you. Thank you. I don't feel like I thanked you quite enough. Or I thanked you too much. I really blacked out when that happened. Because I don't really know. So yeah, that's my recent driving story.
This isn't really a driving story, but it's just a quick tale that I had forgotten about because a friend reminded me recently. I was in Dunkin. Things happen in Dunkin. Whether you're in the drive-thru or whether you're inside, things happen. And
I just took a video of you from inside Dunkin' while you were waiting outside.
That's right. Things happen.
Things happen.
So I'm late to work, but I gotta have my coffee, and I go in. And
we're addicts.
Yeah. I go in, and this man, probably my age, was so kind to let me go in front of him. I didn't say, I'm late, I gotta go in front of you or anything. But I may have said there was a regular guy in there that always used to talk to me and give me a hard time.
Your pal, your Dunkin' pal.
Like, my Dunkin' pal.
Flirt.
He'd say, you're not retired yet, and all that.
He's flirting
So
with
he probably said, he knew I was always running late. So he probably said something, and the guy said I could go in front of me. So I was very grateful. I ordered whatever I ordered, and then I said to the cashier, and whatever he wants, put it on I'll pay for. And the guy is mad at me. And he didn't even really smile. Absolutely not. I said, no, I'd like to pay for you. No. Okay.
He didn't even thank you.
No, he was.
I kind of love that.
He was like, "No, nobody's paying for my coffee or whatever."
My God, I was in Dunkin' like maybe a month ago in line in the drive-thru. God, a lot does happen at Dunkin'.
Yeah, a lot does.
And these 3 boys, probably in their like late teens, early 20s, were in an old cool car. It was like an old Jeep, maybe like a 70s Jeep, and it died in front of my car, but it died in a spot like right in front of the ordering box. The ordering box? What is it called?
Oh, I'm sure it's called the ordering box.
The ordering box. Do you know what I'm saying? The speaker.
Otherwise known as the speaker.
The speaker, yeah. And so they they were so cute. They all got out. Or two of them got out. One of them was in the driver's seat, and they had to push the car. And they kept going, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. They were so embarrassed, and I was like, been there. My car's been dying every which way. I finally now have a car that's not dying every month. And so when I got to, they had already ordered. I could tell because they were ordering, and that's when their car died. And they were like, oh God, our car died. And when I got to the window finally, because they had moved their car out of the way, they were like sweating, like ripping off layers and like trying to push it into a parking spot. And I saw them walk inside of Dunkin', and you know when you can kind of like see inside,
right,
where people are ordering. I was like, hey, can I grab their order in front of me? I'll pay for it, because I could tell they were just like, oh, they were on a road trip. I think they had like Connecticut license plates, like they weren't home. And so I got so stressed for them because I just know that feeling. And he was like, yeah, you can pay for them, but they bought $40 worth of stuff. And then I had that, like, I was like, fuck. Shit.
Darn.
Do I do it?
Do I only give them 20?
Do I, like, pay for just their I was like, oh my God. But I just panicked and said, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. And then I was like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not rolling in the dough. I can't just be like, yeah, cha-ching. Like, take that away. Take my card.
But you did it?
I did it anyways because, you know, the kind of karma that would come from, like, offering something and then immediately taking it back did not seem worth... It seemed worth the $40 to not worry about.
Remember when you called me in a panic? You're in a coffee store and you'd already ordered coffee and gotten your food, and neither you nor your friend
had any
money? This wasn't like a long time ago.
Okay, calm down. It wasn't that recent either.
Oh,
it was when Laura and I lived together.
4 years ago?
No. Laura and I lived together during that. Laura and I haven't lived together in about 9 years.
I don't think it was 9 years.
It was.
But anyway, so I had to save her. And then there's also the story was she was afraid to tell somebody her real name because they thought she remember someplace where you got your coffee every day?
No, it was at a bar because last time I was at the bar, I had used your card that said Claudia on it. And the bartender was like, Claudia, that's my sister's name.
And you never denied it?
And I never denied it for some reason. And the next time I went back, he was like, Claudia. And all my friends were there. And they were like, what? And I was like, I don't know. And then I'm like looking, I'm like, Claudia, where are you? But, I just lost a thought. What's new?
We can look for it.
Where? Not in this mess. You guys can't see my desk right now, but it is chaos.
So I also got stopped with another policeman story that's pretty wacky on Route 302. And this was probably 1973. I was 20. And the policeman pulls me over and he said, do you know why you stopped me? And no.
What?
He didn't say, do you know why?
Do you know why you stopped me? Because I'm actually the cop and you're just a lady in a car.
Do you know why I stopped you? And I'm like...
Why do they ask that?
I don't know.
Just tell me.
They want you to reflect upon your negative
I don't
actions.
want to reflect. Just tell me.
Well, he might not have said that.
Okay.
He might have said... I stopped you because you passed on a double line back there. I think that was...
Okay, yeah.
I think that's what happened. I don't really remember if I was speeding, but I think it was that. And I don't remember, again, convenient loss of memory, but I don't remember if I admitted that I knew that I'd done that or not, or if I remembered that I'd done it. But, so, I'm looking for my license and registration, which I was immediately like, probably, because you know who I am.
Yeah.
Probably I couldn't find it right away because I wouldn't have the two things like all
you probably
together.
had like a Reese's wrapper stuck to it in your glove box.
I don't even know. Back then, I don't... Back then, I feel like you didn't have to show proof of insurance even.
What?
I feel like that.
What kind of dream world were you living in?
I think you just had to have your registration and so license. So, and there were no pictures on the licenses, by the way. And for years, I mean decades, my license said I weighed 135. But
You probably did.
yeah, for a split second in 1972.
All right, let's move on from the body talk.
Anyway, I'm frantically probably pulling stuff out and trying to find it. And all of a sudden, I look at my rearview mirror, and the cop has his blinker on. He pulls out, and he drives right by me with his lights on.
He just leaves?
He leaves. So it's like the same feeling you had at the turnpike.
Where you're like, what do I do about
what
this?
do I do? This guy just stopped
I know
me.
there's people just screaming like, you just leave!
Right.
You just leave! But we like to complicate situations.
Well, I didn't want to be in trouble. So finally, upon reflection, which probably wasn't too much reflection because I wasn't deeply reflective back then. Upon reflection,
Your
2 minutes later.
Your diaries say otherwise.
Well, that's true. 2 minutes later, I pull out and I'm like, my head is just swirling. And I'm like, what? I hope I don't get in trouble. So I drive down the road a piece, as they say here in Maine, and a few miles.
I've literally never heard anyone say that. What are you talking about?
We go down the road for a few
The
miles.
aisle? Did you marry him?
And I can see a police presence on, like there were 2 police cars
Yep.
with lights flashing. And I can see that there's an apparently intoxicated man on the side of the road.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I wouldn't want to accuse him of anything, but allegedly intoxicated. And so I pull over behind the closest car to me. And I get out. And and so there's 2 policemen, and not the one who originally stopped me, but the other one is like looking at me like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Well, that policeman, he just stopped me back there, and he left without saying anything, and I don't know what to do." And he's like,
my God.
he's basically like, "Leave. You're free to go." He's probably thinking, what?
Like,
The
what
heck is wrong with you?
crazy lady. That lady's nuts. That is so funny.
So I could leave. You know, it's all about your conscience.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah, but you don't always have to do the right thing. That's free will.
Well, it's good to do the right things when authorities are involved.
When what?
Well,
30s?
authorities. Actually, I want to take that comment back. I want to say it's good to do the right thing.
Just when you're in your 30s.
Yeah, especially in your 30s.
No, I don't agree with that. Okay. Wait. That reminds me that I got pulled over in my early-ish, like maybe mid-20s. I had this old Volvo that was in 1998. It was like a soccer mom car. I was obsessed with it. I loved it. I loved that thing. But it was literally falling apart. So I'm driving down Brighton Ave one day, and I'm like, I'm on my way to work. That car used to shut off. The engine used to shut off on the highway. It would just shut off. And then I have to I could somehow start it again. Every day, Laura, after I sold that car, my best friend that I was living with at the time was like, every day you left in that car, I thought maybe that would be the last time I'd see it.
Jeez.
And so, but I loved it so much. It had heated seats.
Yeah.
In a 98.
That's like
it was luxury.
heated seats and a radio.
I bought it
golden.
for $1,000 when I moved to Maine. But anyways, I'm driving down Brighton Ave, and suddenly I hear, dun, dun. and then my car jolts, and I'm like, what the hell? And I look up, and I have scared the
Stuff.
the stuff. Ew, that's grosser than saying shit. I scared the stuff out of an old man. I scared him so bad, and what had happened is my front bumper just fell off suddenly. It was just like thump, And he was just walking. He was just having a peaceful walk, and he's like... And I had to pull over, but I couldn't pull over. It was on that little bridge, kind of. It's like not really a bridge, but you know what I'm saying? On Brighton, like you can't really pull over there. And it's not a bridge at all. What am I saying?
I don't know, but I'm pretending.
It's like that three-way stop where that Denny's used to be.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I called it a bridge. There's nothing about it. It's not a bridge. But he's walking across there. So I had to, like, take a minute to, like, drive off to go into a parking lot. And so it was just, like the whole way into the parking lot until I could pull over, and then I just ripped it off and put it in my car.
You ripped the bumper off?
It was halfway off. I had to take it off because what am I supposed to do?
You could just pull it and it came off?
Yes. So then, about probably a month or two later, I'm driving on the highway, probably towards your house, because I remember this happened in Auburn, the Auburn exit. I get pulled over by a cop, and I'm like, what am I doing? I feel like I'm not. And I was like, well, shit, what is registration? Should that have been updated? I don't know. And he's like, ma'am... a piece of your car is flying off of it, and you keep, every time you pass the car, you keep almost hitting that car with a piece of your car. And it was like flailing off the side, and it, like, I guess it was getting like this close to the cars I was passing. He's like, you cannot be doing that. And then he's like, you have to take that off or like push it back in. I'm like, can you help me? And he goes, no, I can't, like, I can't. He was like, I'm not liable, like, I can't do it because of whatever.
Liability.
Yeah, but like, help me. I'm poor. And so he proceeds to have to stand there to make sure I've got it together. So I am ripping. I'm like, woo, woo, and I'm like sweating profusely. I have to take off my sweatshirt, and I'm like, and I finally rip it off my vehicle. So one by one, my car is literally falling apart. It's literally falling apart.
So he couldn't help you, but he had to make sure that you did it?
Yes! So then, maybe that car was cursed. So then, we didn't talk about this, but... So then, in that same car, off of Brighton, I am driving home from work. I was working at a record store called Bull Moose at the time. I'm driving home from work, and it's about 11:30 or midnight, and I'm almost at my apartment, and suddenly I see something out of the corner of my eye go, donk, into my window, and I was like, what the hell? Like, my car was turning, and I look in my rear view mirror, and there is a freaking owl. There is an owl like this, like sideways on the ground. And I was like, I instantly started crying. I'm like sobbing. I turned my car around and I call my boyfriend at the time, and I'm like, I leave him a voicemail. It's midnight. He's probably sleeping, you know. So I leave him 3 voicemails, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. An owl hit me. I didn't hit the owl. An owl hit me. And so I call him, and then as I'm turning my car, I'm like so panicked. I'm like, who do you call? Do you call 911? Like, I don't know. What do you do in that situation? I turn my car around. Suddenly, the owl has done this. And it is just sitting upright. And I was like, I'm staring at this thing. Most majestic, beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, am I high? Like, what is going on? And it's like doing that. Have you ever seen a video of an owl? Because their heads go like this. It goes like this to me. And then they do like slow motion blinking. And their eyes are just like so big. And I was like, and so I'm so scared. I'm crying. I finally call Abby, my roommate, and one of my best friends. And I'm like, can you get in your car and come up to this intersection? An owl has hit me. And she's like, what are you talking about?
She should have said, who?
And I was like, we've got a situation, and I can't be alone in this. I'm scared. Meanwhile, some cars have come by. I am guiding, what's the word I'm looking for? Guiding traffic?
Directing.
Guiding. I'm directing traffic around this owl. No one stops to help. I'm sobbing, and I'm like, go around, go around, go around. And so people are just going around. They're not stopping. They're like, they see a girl sobbing, standing next to a massive owl. The owl was, I swear to God, maybe bigger than this. It was so big. Maybe that's what my memory is, because it was so crazy. So Abby shows up, and she goes, yep, that's an owl. And I'm like, what the frick do I do? What do I do? And she goes, have you tried hooing at it? And I was like, hooing at it? Have I tried what? Hooing at it? And so I'm like, no. Do you see the talons on that thing? The talons were like, I'm crying. The talons were like, whoa. Like the longest, they were so big. And I was like, no way. That thing is out to get me. That thing tried to talon my head through my window. You think it's like literally came like feet first at my window, like as if it was coming from my head. If my window is down, can you imagine? I would have been attacked by an owl. My face would have been jacked up. And so Abby shows up. She's like, did you hoo at it? I'm like, I didn't hoo at it. It has talons. I'm not hooing at that owl. I'm scared of it. I'm crying.
Is this a technique? Hooing at an injured owl?
It's not. It's an Abby technique. Okay. And she walks up to it. We're standing probably like 10 feet away from it. And she's already called her dad and her dad is like a smart doctor, and he always knows what to do. And he's like, well, here's the line for the like animal control, like whatever. So he had like given her proper information that was useful. But she walks up to the owl and goes, she does the arm thing too. I wish I had this all recorded. She goes, whoo, whoo, flies up into a friggin' tree.
Did you laugh?
Flies up and no, I didn't laugh. I was just like, this all went down within like probably 20 minutes. Goes up into a tree. Then her dad texted me and said, congrats on not being an owl murderer. Just I forget what he said. You just gave that guy quite the headache. And I was like, listen, he gave that to himself. I didn't hit him. He hit me. The way it was happening, like, I was taking a turn on a four-way stop, so I'm turning on to my left. And as I'm turning, the owl came from a tree and just goes, boom. And I was like, what happened? I didn't know it was an owl. So, like, when I turned around, I was shook. I was like, what the hell? It looked into my soul. I think it sucked a piece of my soul that day. And ever since then, I've been so scared of owls. And then there's been that whole series about the woman in the stairs with the owl attack who got murdered. Remember? They were like, the husband keeps blaming the owl. And yeah. I'm like, yeah, I believe it. I believe the owl did it.
Good thing you weren't on that jury.
No, I actually don't think I would have believed it because he was super sus. But yeah. That owl legit. So then years later, this guy I knew in Boston got attacked by an owl. This was happening around Boston in the city. The owls were swooping down, and they were like, you should be wearing hats while out. It was like this brief thing, and he got attacked by an owl. And so, anyways, the moral of the story is owls are so scary. And my boyfriend at the time, the next day, just calls me at like 10 a.m. the next day and goes, are you okay? I was like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you.
That is a great story.
Oh my god. So anyways, forgot about that. Where do we go from there?
I think we got...
Wait, I feel like I had... Wait, this also... Sorry, we don't have enough because I have one more story about that car. That car really, truly was... Sometimes I think about getting a tattoo of that car, but I wonder if it would bring the same kind of drama it brought to my life at the time. But, this is so crazy, because I was going to I was doing a consulting appointment downtown Portland for my tattoo. This is where the story happens. It was 100 degrees outside, and that car had no AC, and I had to parallel park. But what happened was, about a week prior, my power steering went, so I was just driving around with no power steering. Which, have you ever driven a car with no power steering? Because, like,
No, I couldn't.
So I am sweating profusely, dripping sweat, and because my power steering went, the sound of my wheel turning, it was so hard to turn, and it sounded like, for some reason I always think of it sounding like a whale. Have you ever heard like a whale sound? It's like, and it was like, I'm in Portland going to get my first tattoo, and I am sweating profuse. I'm so stressed, and I'm like, I was like right at the High Street building, because that's where my tattoo place was, and in where my photo studio is now, which I forgot about. But so I'm sweating profusely, and my power steering's going, and it took me 10 minutes to parallel park. 10 minutes. Crazy. Anyways, I just want to make sure. So I just want to add one more thing. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but my dad, growing up, I always knew him with a cane when I was really young. And my dad always got up and got dressed. Like, you always, like, wanted to look apart, but he always had a cane and had, like, a bit of a limp. And in later years, I found out that I thought he was lying, because he told the most ridiculous stories all the time. So I was convinced that man was lying to me. But apparently he got run over by a taxi.
He did.
I feel like that man is part of the reason why I am like this today, too. It's not all you.
Yeah, I'd blame it on him.
Yeah. But yeah, he was sitting on a curb and got run over.
No, that's not how it happened.
Wait, that's what he told me. I thought he was sitting on a curb in Aruba, and a taxi ran over him.
No, that's not quite the story. He was getting out of the taxi.
In Aruba?
In Florida.
In Miami.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that's coming back to me. Okay, but how does one run over a leg? How does...
I don't know,
Can you think about the, like, physics of that?
He was in the back seat.
He's getting out. Is one leg down, and the driver just went?
Yeah, the driver went forward. And he kept the pants there was tire marks on it or whatever for years.
I wish he had kept those. I never saw them, but my God.
Yeah, he got pretty significantly injured, actually.
Yeah.
He was in constant pain, but yeah, he wasn't just sitting on the curb. I think you may get the story mixed up in your head, because I think that he landed on the curb.
Yeah.
And couldn't get up, and they had to call an ambulance and all of that. But
sorry for the abrupt ending here. I said a swear and Claude made me cut it out. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the episode. See you next time.